All right, what is up, everybody? This is Bert,
Tay,
and we are going to go over our NFL draft winners and losers. Um, we're going to start off with the winners, and I think we should just hop right into it. Thank you for watching us at Speak True Sports. So, Tay, why don't you go ahead and name your first winner of your NFL draft? We're going to be given about six, three each.
I got the New York Jets.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
Yep.
They had an amazing draft, a bunch of steals like everywhere, all over the board, just steals everywhere. I'm very pleased with Joe Douglas. I'm surprised he actually drafted this well. This is the first time in a while he's drafted this well in a long time, and I mean they just got guys everywhere. I mean the three first round picks alone set them up for success in the future, and then somehow stealing Brees Hall in the second round was insane too. So I mean, you pair a running back committee with Michael Carter and Brees Hall, and then they still have Tevin Coleman there with Ty Johnson, who could still come in every now and then when Tevin Coleman gets injured, because Coleman might last 4 games and then he's done. So
Yep.
Ty Johnson comes into the mix. It was a perfect trio, really, at running back. Then you give Zach Wilson, finally give him a weapon with Garrett Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, Braxton Berrios isn't horrible, but you give him a definite wide receiver one in Garrett Wilson, and then they just beefed up the defense for a solid too, which we
Yep.
see a defensive minded coach anyway. You give him probably the best corner in the draft. Not even probably, he's definitely the best corner in the draft. Guy went 1,000 plus
Lost
snaps,
guard.
no touch, 1,000 plus snaps and zero touchdowns. And listen to this crazy stat. I believe I saw a stat that said last season he didn't give up over 13 yards in
Yep.
man coverage against any receiver against any team he played against.
Yep.
That is insane. Thinking the fact that they played Alabama with John Mechie, Jameson Williams. I mean, all those guys that were on the Alabama receiving corps, he didn't give up over 13 yards in man coverage, which is crazy because he was guarding Jameson Williams before he got injured.
Mm-hmm.
So it's crazy to think that. And then you get a steal at 26 with arguably, I think he's the third best defensive end in the draft, Jermaine Johnson. I think he unfortunately went to Florida State, which is a poverty school as of now. It was good back in the early days when they had Prime, but as of late, we haven't. I mean, me being a Florida State fan, I'll say we haven't really been that great in the
Mm-hmm.
football aspect. But Jermaine Johnson is an absolute steal. He was a big impact player for Florida State. I think he'll do the same in the NFL. I think it's crazy that he slipped to 26. I thought he was going to be gone by at least in the range of 13 to 15. So when the Jets traded back into the first round again to get him at 26, I was like, oh my gosh, everybody's just letting the Jets just steal this draft.
Yeah, I mean, you could have made an argument he could have been drafted top 10. I mean, I
Yeah,
thought that the Ravens are going to end up with Jermaine Johnson at their spot until Kyle Hamilton fell to them. But yeah, I mean, there was like some contention with the Brees Hall pick. Some people liked it, some people didn't. I think it's fine. They obviously want to rely on their offense because their defense isn't ready right now, even with
yeah,
Sauce, even with Jermaine Johnson. So it's like, okay, they're trying to build a really nice offense and then get the defense going later on. So I really don't mind the Brees Hall pick. Um, and then they took another tackle in at like 112, Max Mitchell. That's a solid pick for them. And then yeah, they covered every single base that they really needed to in this draft. Garrett Wilson,
exactly. Yeah,
he's going to be great. I think he's going to be great with Zach Wilson. He's going to make his job so easy. We're going to hear Wilson to Wilson a lot this year.
exactly.
And Sauce Gardner was my best cornerback he's my cornerback one. So
Yeah, I'm surprised. Listen,
good.
yeah, I'm really surprised that Stingley went over a Gardner. I
Yep.
mean, if the Texans wanted a corner, why not take CB1 easily? I mean, this guy was easily the best corner in the draft. I mean, I understand the hype around Stingley is that he had great practice film against Jamar Chase, who's obviously probably might be the best rookie receiver ever
Mm-hmm.
we've ever seen, probably. But I mean, it was just so long ago. I understand that. I mean, it was during the championship run, but that was 2020. It's 2022. He didn't, and I think he sat out last year because I think he opted out with the COVID year. I don't know if he played last year. But I mean, just the way that Sauce Gardner has played all 4 years at Cincinnati, I mean, it's just so obvious that he would be the first guy taken. And I think that Texans really missed on that one.
Yeah, I think they liked his physical tools more, which I kind of understand. I don't hate the Stingley pick there, but at the same time, yeah, I probably would have gone Sauce. But Stingley's still good. I think
Yeah,
Sting.
he's definitely still
Yeah.
good for sure.
His biggest problem is just injury history,
Yeah,
though, right? Like he has amazing physical tools, but the reason I had Sauce over him is just that Sauce has just been more consistently on the field.
field, yeah.
Um, so yeah, but let's move on to another winner in this draft. I gotta talk about the Ravens. All right, I gotta start off with the Ravens. So
Applaud you guys. I applaud you guys. I do. I really do.
honestly, I loved our draft outside of like one pick. I really, really wanted Calvin Austin. I thought he would have been the perfect Hollywood Brown replacement. And just
Yes,
talking
for
about
sure.
that trade in general, when I first saw it, I was like, my mind was just blown. I was like, there's no way, because I just got done celebrating Kyle Hamilton. We just stole Kyle Hamilton. And then I look over and Marquise Brown is gone. I'm like, oh my God. Like I thought we were going to pick a wide receiver in the later rounds. So I was like, Calvin Austin's the guy. And then he kept slipping. And then he went one pick right before us to the Steelers, which is, I'm gonna talk about the Steelers later. But I hated that. So it gives me another reason to hate Pittsburgh, as if there aren't a million already. But yeah, that trade I think overall was a win-win because we did just get the news that DeAndre Hopkins is out for
Yes.
6 games, suspended
Yes.
for potential PED usage. He put out a statement that was like, I wasn't aware if there was anything I was taking. I take a holistic approach to my body. So maybe it was a miscommunication between his trainer and like the
That's what I
rules.
immediately thought
So
as
I
well
mean,
too.
yeah, yeah. I don't think he did it on purpose. Because why would you risk getting caught like that,
At
right?
that,
And
he's
you're
been
already one of the
clean.
greatest receivers.
He's been clean his whole career. He's been great his
Yeah.
whole career. I mean, my first initial reaction was that maybe he wanted a boost to recovery. So he took something to help him recover to get back on the field quicker.
Yeah.
But now hearing it, I don't think it was that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just a weird situation overall. But I think that trade is a win-win at the end of the day because
Yeah.
the Ravens got a first for Hollywood Brown, even though they did give up a third. So the value is more like a early second kind of a
Mm-hmm.
value, which is a solid value for Marquise Brown. Unfortunately, he is not a fan of Greg Roman, kind of like the rest of us. So I feel him in that regard. I'm not mad that he wanted out. I think deservedly so. He kind of wanted out. He was due for a big payday, and
Yeah.
even though he was putting up great numbers, at the same time he could be putting up even better numbers in an air raid type of offense, like the one that the Cardinals have, right? Plus, he gets reunited with his old college buddy. I think it's a win-win. I think it's a win-win trade because the pick we took, the person we took with that pick that we got from the Cardinals, Tyler Lindenbaum is one of the. I mean, everyone's talking about how he's one of the greatest centers that have been in the drafts, like
Yeah.
in the
I
last
mean,
decade or so.
I couldn't believe he fell to 26. I mean, that
Mhm.
was just crazy to me. I'm like, this guy is obviously the best center in the draft. How is he not gone? Everybody, I mean, most people need a center, right? I mean, that's I feel like that's like a guaranteed need on like at least somewhere close to half of the NFL. A
Yep.
lot of teams are missing on centers, and everybody needs just a generational talent at center like Tyler Linderbaum. And I mean,
Yep.
he just kept slipping away, and the Ravens ended up getting a guy to protect Lamar.
At a very important position too, because Bradley Bozeman, even though he was a fantastic center, uh, for some reason they didn't want to pay him, and so we had a hole there. Even though he didn't even get paid that much, so I don't know what the thinking was there, but maybe they really like Linderbaum and they just decided we're going to take Linderbaum at some point.
Yeah,
So I really like that pick there. Just in terms of value, the Ravens just constantly stood where they were for the most part, just let players fall to them constantly.
yeah,
This draft was the most unpredictable, reachy draft ever. Like there were so many prospects that are projected third, went in the first, second, went in the first, projected second, went in the fourth. Like it was ridiculous how many teams were
yeah,
reaching for guys that they liked. Um, but yeah, David Ojabo at 45, fantastic pick. I mean, this guy's a top 15 talent. He unfortunately went down with an injury, so it was like, what team is going to take the chance on him and bring him back to health and take who can afford to take a flyer on David Ojabo? And the Ravens are the perfect team to do that. Uh, Travis Jones at 76 was,
That man is a beast. That is a unit. That is an absolute unit.
I do not know how he fell there, especially because Washington took a tackle like 20 picks earlier.
Yeah.
And it's like Travis Jones is better, man. I'm
I
sorry.
mean, in my opinion, I think he's the closest thing to Jordan Davis in the draft, right?
Yep.
I mean, I can't believe that he fell all the way to the third round. And then, let alone, I'm looking at the fourth round you guys had now. You guys lit up the fourth round in the draft.
Yep.
Literally, I'm looking at like second, third round talents all taken in the fourth round.
Lele, Armour Davis. Uh,
I really like Isaiah Likely. I thought he was going to be gone
yeah.
second or third round, and I was like, he fell to like almost the end of the fourth round. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Honestly, I'm a little bit more excited for Isaiah Likely than I am Kolar, which is
Yeah,
kind of funny,
I mean,
because we took
Isaiah
Kolar
Likely
early.
I feel like he's so more talented as a vertical threat down the field at tight end, and he gives you guys another option for Lamar to throw the ball to. You guys can probably run a two tight end set now with
Yep.
Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely, and then at that you can run the ball out of that two tight end set because Likely can actually block, which is crazy to think that some people think that he can't block, but he really can. He's not that bad of a blocker. I mean, of course, there's need improvement, but if anybody can improve, it's in Greg Roman's offensive scheme where he loves to run the ball so much. So you're going to learn how to block anyway.
Yeah, and even the running back we took with our very last pick. I mean, some people were projecting him to go in the
Oh
third,
my gosh.
right?
I
Tyler
mean,
Beatty.
yeah, he's I wouldn't say he's, anything close to any of these top running backs that were taken, but
Mhm.
he's definitely capable to get the job done in that offense behind that O line, of course.
He's definitely a do-it-all kind of a running
Yeah,
back, which is sorely needed. It if he can just catch the ball at an average rate, he should see the field. I really feel like we need a pass catching running back somewhere in there to help us out there. But yeah, I'm excited for the possible two tight end sets we can run now, because we have four solid tight ends,
yeah.
uh, and I think we're probably going to cut Josh Oliver. But yeah, we have Boyle, Andrews, Kolar Likely. I mean, this is such a solid squad right here, and especially if our O line kind of falters again,
Mm-hmm.
that two tight end set will help with the blocking, especially. So I think the Ravens had a fantastic draft, especially for what they wanted to do. You kind of have a good picture of what they want to do, what they want to go for.
Absolutely.
And one last thing before we move on is I want to talk about Kyle Hamilton, because a lot of people like right before the draft were talking about like why Kyle Hamilton's falling, and it's like people were doubting his abilities as a free safety, as a truly instinctive kind of a player, right? People were saying he's a little too slow. He's this and he's that, and a lot of people were saying he should only be playing as a box safety or as a strong safety. Guess what? That's all he has to do now.
I mean,
So
and I think that's a crazy statement because he's the best going east west out of the whole draft class. I mean,
yeah,
the amount of times we've seen him run from the middle of the field to the sideline to catch interceptions all year last year is crazy. So for people to think that he doesn't have the speed or the quickness or the instinct to react to the ball in the air and make plays, I mean, that's just insane because that is one of his big traits is that he's able to go east west so
yeah,
well, better than anybody in his draft class. I mean, I think there was one he had a diving pick on the sideline against Florida State. And I mean, he literally went from the logo of the field to the sideline, dove out of bounds, and caught a pick. And I'm like, how do people think that this isn't just a top tier safety right here? And at that, a free safety, that's what most free safeties want you to do. They want you
yeah,
to be able to travel east west and be able to move around the field and just run it and be a ball hawk. And that's what he is. So it's crazy to think that people don't think he's able to do that. I think that's just people just talking without really knowing any real knowledge. Because I mean, if you go and watch the tape, this guy is insane. I mean, he's run stopper. He's able to come in and stop and fill the holes in the run. He's able to pick the ball off. He's able to play even play man coverage against
yep,
slot receivers. I mean, it's crazy to think that this guy doesn't have the talent. And all people saw was a slow 40. And I'm like, you got to realize that the 40 is more technique than really speed.
yeah,
If you can get a good start out of your technique within like the first 10 yards, you're going to run a good 4.3, 4.4 if you already have the natural speed. So the fact that he ran a 4.5 means he just had a bad start and he caught up at the end to just really edge that 4.5 because he still almost ran a 4.4. I think it was like a 4.53 or 4.54 that he ran. So he
yeah.
was still close to it, like a sub 4.4. So it's crazy to think that he didn't really go earlier than that. I mean, it's nonsense to me.
Yeah, and I mean, in general, like even if the criticizers are right that he's only a box safety, he can only play strong safety. That's all he has to do because the
Now he got
Ravens
Marcus Williams.
are and they also have Chuck Clark there. I mean, this is just, I mean, the Ravens defense is going to be scary next year because honestly, I think the safety position is going to start becoming a little bit more and more valuable as the league progresses
Mm-hmm.
because of how many good wide receivers there are in the league now. I think we're really going to have at least one solid safety and another serviceable safety to compete on defense with these massively, offensively oriented teams.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
this is a good step in that direction. And Chuck Clark is gonna, I mean, he's gonna mentor him. And
Oh,
this is it's a perfect
amazing.
situation.
Yeah, amazing.
Second winner. Go ahead.
I got the Buffalo Bills. I
Mm-hmm.
hate to say it, but they 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 were already a loaded team, and they loaded up in a lot of areas that can help them a lot, especially on offense. I mean, you take James Cook in the second round, which is a perfect spot for him. I mean, I thought he easily was a second round talent, and they got him at the perfect spot towards the end of the second round. And honestly, he blew up towards that end of the season to help Georgia make that championship run, and he played phenomenal. I think Khalil Shakir in the fifth round was an absolute steal,
Yeah.
in my opinion. He's a burner. I mean, he's capable and he has great hands. I mean, he's a perfect target for Josh Allen, especially for somebody that likes to throw the ball deep down the field. At that, you put him with Diggs, Gabriel Davis. Now, I think they got rid of Cole Beasley, correct?
Cole
Is he
Beasley.
gone?
I think, but even if he's not gone, they have enough
Well,
weapons.
they're
He
yeah,
doesn't need
even
to play.
that. Yeah, he doesn't even need to play. You can put
Yeah.
Shakir in the slot and have Davis and Diggs on the outside, and it'll be amazing. And
Yeah.
then James Cook able to catch the ball out of the backfield. That's something they really needed because
Yeah.
unfortunately their running backs haven't been the best. I think James Cook is a step in the right direction. And
Mm-hmm.
then you get another corner, an elite corner at that,
Kyrie.
in Kyrie Elam at 23. I
Yeah.
honestly thought he was going to be gone within the top 15 too. I think he was a top 15 talent. And the
Mm.
fact that they got him at 23 and they traded up to 23 and got him at 23 is crazy to me. So, I mean, realistically, I don't think anybody was going to take him. They could have stayed where they were at and they could have picked him where they were, but I think they just wanted him that bad. And then, I mean, I saw a clip of his draft interview. This guy pulled out a whole notebook of all the busted plays Florida gave up as a team, what he made, like what mistakes he made, how he
Yeah.
can get better. Like he had everything week by week. I mean, that's a guy you want on your team
Yeah.
for sure, 1000%. They took a solid value pick with Terrell Bernard at 25 in the third round. I think that was just a good like BPA. I think he was just there for them to pick. I think because Nakobe Dean went like right before. And I
Yeah.
think if Dean was available at 89, they probably would have taken him. But I think he went right before that at 83. I think so to Philly. And then they get the boomstick, the punter. They've been needing one, so they now finally get an amazing punter, Matt
Mm-hmm.
Araiza, who's going to be just that's just a marketing tool right there. They're trying to find somebody to help market Buffalo as a team. He's fun, he's young, he has the crazy leg, he's crazy accurate, and I think it was just a good pick overall.
Yeah. I mean, they overall they addressed their needs at like almost every single need they had. Um, that running back pick, I mean, I was expecting them to take a running back. I thought they would take one in the first round, but then when I saw them trade up to our pick and take Kyrie Elam, I was like, all right, they can wait on running back
Yeah,
because
for sure.
Elam was a fantastic prospect. I'm a little surprised that they traded up with us and gave us 130 because I think the Ravens would have just taken Linderbaum either way. So I
Yeah,
don't really know if they needed to trade up, but at the end of the day, they did. They got their guy. I can't really hate him too much for that. Yeah, I mean, even I mean, Christian Benford's even solid for where he was selected,
yeah,
right? 185. I
solid,
mean,
completely solid.
just such an overall solid draft.
They did what they needed to do. They made the team better when they were already good. They just added some more talent to help them improve to get over that hump to get into the Super Bowl.
Yep. All right. My second winner. This is a name that we haven't heard be a winner in a long time. Give me the Detroit Lions.
Wow.
They arguably at number two, a lot of people had Aiden Hutchinson as the best prospect. They got him at two, which you could see as a steal possibly. But their trade up for Jamison Williams was incredible.
Amazing.
It was incredible. They traded pick 32 and 34 and 66 to get pick number 12 and 46. They did great.
Amazing.
They did
Amazing.
great. I don't know what the Vikings were thinking, giving a potential like you're giving your own divisional rival their future star like wide receiver right there. Like I don't know what they were thinking. But at the same time, yeah, but at the same time, it's like I don't know. I guess they really wanted 32 and 34. But I think they even traded. Didn't they trade back from 34 as well?
Yeah.
Minnesota was really weird. They kept trading back and back and back.
I think we fleeced them in later on in the draft. I think we traded up to 124, and then we gave them 126. 126 came back, and we traded back to 126, and they traded back deeper into the draft.
Yeah, Minnesota was just weird. I don't know what they were doing. I wouldn't say they're a loser because they did make solid selections, but like it was just weird to see them constantly trade back. Like they could have taken Hamilton at 12 right there, right? It's just weird to see, but James Williams is a fantastic trade up for them. Another guy I really like is Josh Pascal. He's big. He's got talent. He's going to be a good pass rusher for them.
I mean, I think if Aiden is going to take on double teams, he's a perfect one-on-one guy you need to help on the other side.
Took another guy that I like, Kirby Joseph. I thought he was a solid pick there. And then they took one of the guys I wanted to, James Mitchell. Oh man, this guy is so good. If he just stays healthy, his ceiling is the best tight end in this draft class.
Yeah, easily.
Definitely. I mean, he's a great pass catcher. He's perfectly built for the modern tight end.
Absolutely.
And then overall, from that point on, you could argue maybe some of their picks could have been better, but I think for what they had after that James Mitchell pick, I think they did great. And just overall, this is one of the best Lions draft classes
in a long time.
And I'm excited for Dan Campbell. I want to see what he does with these guys because he's got pieces on that defense now. Let's see what he can do.
My only hope.
And also, some people are going to bring up. Oh yeah, some people are going to bring up that they didn't draft a quarterback.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
But it's like I don't know. The quarterbacks this year weren't amazing, and also, I mean, who knows? Maybe they pick one up. What quarterback went undrafted that we were both like, how did he go undrafted? Who was it? There was one quarterback that just went undrafted completely.
Was it Strong?
I'm just so confused. It was Strong, yeah. I say, is he signed with anybody right now?
Yeah, Philly picked him up. He went to Philly.
Oh, man. Okay.
Yeah, I think that was Philly's first undrafted free agent signing. They immediately called Carson Strong and signed him.
I get that's a good pickup for Philly. But even still, the Lions look, at the very least, Jared Goff is serviceable. He will chuck the ball down the field, at least make Jameson Williams happy. If he does bad this year, they'll move on from him next year. It's totally fine. The Lions aren't going to be a great team. They're going to be probably towards the bottom of the league. But they have legit pieces now. They have a legit foundation. And next year, if they just get a quarterback, they can fill in right away.
I think Detroit fans, you guys take one more year of suffering. I mean, you guys have been suffering long enough. All the way back to Barry Sanders days. I think you guys can take one more year of suffering just to get that quarterback you guys need next year. And I think you guys are foot in the door in the right direction to at least win more games. I'm not saying Super Bowl. I'm not saying anything crazy like that, but at least more than 3 to 4 wins a year. You guys can easily slide into like that 6, 7, 8 games a year with the right quarterback.
Yeah, one more draft like this, y'all are going to be in a good place. Honestly, if the AFC wasn't so loaded, I would say the Jets could have been a sleeper pick to get to the playoffs. The NFC is very weak in general, so maybe the Lions do better than we think.
But
at the end of the day, they still have a great foundation, so it doesn't matter how they really do. Let's move on to your final winner.
Okay, I got the Birds, Philly. You guys lit it up this draft, in my opinion. A lot of steals, especially with Jordan Davis at 13, I think is a phenomenal pick. That man is an absolute beast. He is probably the best run stopper in this draft, especially at nose tackle. I mean, you get him in under mentor, under Fletcher Cox, who is arguably one of the best defensive tackles to play in the NFL.
Yep.
I mean, you get that guy mentoring this absolute unit of a D lineman. I mean, how big is Jordan Davis? What is this guy's size? I mean, it's something absolutely out of this world.
Yeah, he's
I think he's
ridiculous.
like, what, 6'6", 340.
Yep.
I mean, that is an absolute unit at nose tackle. It's gonna be hard to even stop him from just putting his arms out and just stopping somebody. He's so big
Yeah.
that, like, if anybody even tries to stall him, that is going to hold up a line because you can't. He's too wide, he's too big, and he's so forceful. And his first step off the line to be that big is absolutely insane. And then I think the steal of the draft for them is Nakobe Dean at 83.
Yep.
Listen, I understand he has the pec and shoulder injuries, but I'm like, even if he manages to stay not even 100% healthy, if he manages to stay 80% healthy, he is still a steal. He was the best player on this Georgia defense, which was an amazing defense, probably one of the best defenses we've seen in college football. And he was the best player on that defense. I mean, he's just east-west in the box. I mean, field the run. I think he was one of the best run stoppers in college football. And then he's one of the best coverage linebackers in college football as well. And you get him at 83. I mean, in my opinion, he was LB1 in the draft. So to see his other teammates get taken before him, I mean, that is just absolutely insane. I mean, like, I think Green Bay took the first Georgia linebacker. I mean, Green Bay, if you guys wanted a Georgia linebacker, why not Nakobe Dean? Why are you taking Quay Walker, who wasn't even anything close to being a top linebacker on that defense? He was just in a great system. So they made him look way much better than what he was. I mean, you take
people are saying that about Nakobe Dean. People are saying Nakobe Dean benefited from playing in that Georgia defense.
I'm like, this guy was the leader of this defense. He was the captain of the defense. He called the defense.
Well, I mean, we will see now because now they're on different. But something else that will help Nakobe Dean, I mean, is having Jordan Davis there. He's familiar with Jordan Davis.
Absolutely.
Playing right behind him. And then they picked up another linebacker later on, just in case Nakobe Dean's not ready or he's injured. Kyron Johnson, I think that was a solid pick for them there. Yeah, and then obviously we got to address the elephant in the room, the AJ Brown trade. I mean, they did that wasn't technically part of the draft, but
the winner of the first round was that trade, at least, because they gave the receiving core was just another weapon that they needed because Jalen Reagor was just not getting the job done. So you put Devontae with AJ Brown. I mean, you give Jalen Hurts a legitimate chance to actually succeed rather than bashing him and saying that he's not getting the job done. I'm like, I mean, he's winning games. He's getting the job done with pretty much just Devontae Smith out there and Dallas Goedert. And I mean, we're not saying Dallas Goedert is a top 5 tight end, but he's making him look like a top 10 tight end at that because he's just doing so well.
Yeah, we're going to see where Jalen Hurts is at now because he's got weapons finally. A lot of people were hating on Jalen Hurts so much, even Eagles fans so much last year, but every time I watched the game, he was throwing the balls perfectly fine right to their hands. They were just dropping them. Kept dropping it. And now he's got AJ Brown, who's one of the most sure-handed receivers in the league. He's not going to be dropping many of those balls. I mean, I think it's a match made in heaven right here. If Jalen Hurts can't step up from here, I think then you have cause for
legitimate reason.
Yeah, then you have a good reason to be concerned. But I think Jalen Hurts is gonna step up his game, and I think that the Eagles can make a push to win the NFC East. I mean, it's not a particularly intensive battle. The Cowboys didn't exactly draft much on their defense.
Yeah, not really.
I might talk about them later. But yeah, Eagles had a great draft. Do you want to move on to my third winner?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that one of the most underrated teams that nobody's really talking about that much is the Chiefs. The Chiefs had an amazing draft. Even though I did not want them to, the value they had for all these guys was incredible. Trent McDuffie, I mean, arguably the third or fourth best corner in this draft, 21. Fantastic selection. Karlaftis at number 30 was an incredible selection. He is exactly what they need to put pressure on the other team's quarterback. He's exactly what they need. That will allow Chris Jones to play where he feels most comfortable because now they got Karlaftis on the edge, right?
Yeah.
Now he can play where he feels most comfortable. He doesn't have to stretch out between different positions anymore. He can pick where he wants to play and just Karlaftis will fill in the other.
Pick the offensive line apart. Absolutely.
Yeah, and Sky Moore, fantastic selection for wide receiver for them. This is a really good direction that the Chiefs are heading in. They did trade Tyreek Hill, but at the same time, right? Tyreek Hill's main, like the thing that made him so dangerous was his speed. Uh, and you can kind of replace that speed in other ways. And Sky Moore, I think, will help with that. I'm not saying he's going to be like a Tyreek Hill or anything, but at the same time, their defense was just so bad. It was literally losing them games last
Yeah.
year. They lost games because their defense was so bad. I mean, just go back and like look at that Ravens game. Go back and look at the Bengals game, right? Both
Yeah.
Bengals games. Their defense lost them those
In the
games.
games. Yeah, absolutely.
And if their offense does just enough, which I think they can do,
Yeah.
they'll be totally fine. They also got a tackle I really liked at 145, Darian Kennard.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be really solid for them. And they also got Leo Chenal at 103. That was surprising because he was supposed to be an early second roundish kind of player. He fell all the way to
Yeah.
103. So that was a big steal for them. And they after that they went corner. They had like four different corners. They traded for another corner recently. The guy off the Texans. They really want their backfield secure. Their secondary. They really want their secondary secure so they won't get picked apart by Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and guys like that, right?
And,
I
and
think
in
the
my
Chiefs had a
opinion,
fantastic
I
draft.
think I think a big pick for them is Joshua Williams. He's not
Yeah,
a big name guy, but I mean, he has the size of Sauce Gardner. I'm not saying he is Sauce Gardner, but if you want a Sauce Gardner prototype, you draft Josh Williams. I mean, this guy was absolutely phenomenal. I know he went to Fayetteville State, what I think is D1 AA, if not D2 football,
yeah.
but still, just the plays he was making on these passes. I mean, he has a natural instinct. He
Yep.
has a big frame. He's the natural speed. He's everything you would want in an NFL corner at his pick at 135. And at that, with him not even being a big house name, for them just to find that guy to dominate in the rough, to draft, to put in that secondary,
Mhm.
amazing.
He doesn't need to produce right away because they have Trent McDuffie. Like
Absolutely.
they can afford to sit him back a year or even two and just let him develop. Obviously, yeah, he did come from a much smaller school, so it's kind of harder to judge the talent. But at the same time, you're right. Like his instincts and his physicals are just so like built for the modern NFL. I think he was a really really solid pick there. Um, so yeah, I want to give a couple of shout outs to a couple of teams that I think did good as well. They didn't make the official list for me, but I think they did really solid. The Packers, outside of their first pick, I love the rest of their draft.
Yeah.
I mean, they got a bunch of steals. Let me pull up their picks right here, actually. So they picked up. Where are they? Green Bay starts with the G. There it is. Okay. Devontae Wyatt and their second pick was great. I mean, he's one of the best
Absolutely.
interior defensive linemen in the draft. Christian Watson, he's good. I have reservations on his abilities somewhat because he had like a 13% drop
Yeah.
rate, which is really bad. But I mean, if anyone's gonna help him fix that,
It's
it's
Aaron
Aaron
Rodgers.
Rodgers if he throws the ball accurately to him. Romeo Dobbs was a really solid pick. Sean Ryan, the tackle at 92. And they took Zach Tom, who was one of the biggest steals. And then
Yeah.
another right back to back, another huge steal. Kingsley, I don't know how to say it, Enagbare.
Oh, the end.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this guy was amazing.
He was projected to go like somewhere in the second round. He fell to 179. Was that like the fourth,
Yeah.
fifth?
No,
Like
that's the sixth.
that's a sixth? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, he fell so far. And I don't know what happened. I don't know if there was a reason for him falling or if that's just how the board like fell, but that was, I think that the Zach Tom and then Kingsley picks back to back at 140, 179 were just like the cherry on top of the rest of the draft. And even though they reached on Quay Walker, he is a really good athlete. I think they can develop him really well. So I think they were looking at mostly his physical tools. I think Devin Lloyd was probably my favorite linebacker in the draft. Out of,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I'm not sure if he really fit with what the Packers are looking to do. So I understand. But overall, I think the Packers had a really solid draft. So that's an honorable mention right there. And one more honorable mention, because so many teams had great drafts this year. They really did. It's only really a few teams. That's why we only have 4 loser picks because and it was kind of a struggle trying to pick the 4th loser, right? Because we have 3 solid ones for sure. But
Yeah,
it's the 4th one
absolutely.
that's like, who do we really talk about, right? The Chargers had an amazing draft. Zion Johnson at 17 was great. They need whole line help so badly, and he's going to help them out
Mhm.
amazingly. JT Woods, I don't mind him there. I thought there was better options, but at the same time, I mean, if that's what they like, I mean, they need safety help, so he helps them there. They took Isaiah Spiller, running back. I don't mind it. I think that was kind of a meh. I think it was they didn't really need to make it, but at the same time, it's
I feel
not
like he
bad.
was just like he was available and he was there, and they were like, why not? Just a value pick.
Yeah,
It was a good value pick. That's all it was.
yeah. Otito Ogbania. I mean, I'm not really that familiar with him, but I think the pick I want to talk about the most is just Jamari Slayer. He was, I mean, he was probably one of the biggest steals in that round, and he went 195 overall, and he was projected somewhere around like the 3rd round, right? So
So many guys dropped in this draft.
yeah,
It's
so
crazy to
many
say.
guys dropped, and the teams that are winning are the teams that are just sitting there and just being like, okay, well, this is this is one of the guys that are on our board that's very very high. Let's just grab him here, and they're not reaching into multiple rounds to select their talent. So speaking of that, I think we should talk about the losers. All right, thank you guys for watching. Click on over to our NFL Draft losers video, which will be going up sometime soon. Besides that, thank you guys so much for watching. We will catch you guys next time.